Welcome to another edition of Douglas on My Mind show, and as always, we have two special guests. We have with us our sheriff, Mr. Doyle Woooten, and our police chief, Mr. Casteloes. A lot of times people have a hard time enunciating his name, but Casteloes, I think they beat it up all the time. But
I answered anything.
You answered anything. We're going to be right back with more of information from our sheriff and our chief after these messages. We're back with more Douglas on My Mind, and as I stated, we have with us two guests, our special guests with us, Sheriff Doyle Woooten, our sheriff of Coffee County, and our police chief, Mr. Casteloes. And thank y'all for being on the show today.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right. Well, we're going to be in the month of December, which a lot of things go on in December. It is probably our busiest time of the year for public safety in relationship to a lot of activities going on in our community, which we love, which we hope that continues to be the case. But we want them to be safe. We want them to have no problems as far as any improprieties, crime, or whatever activities that go on. So today we're going to be talking about those types of things and kind of also give, I think, as Chief Casteloes stated at the break, a kind of a state of the affairs about public safety, specifically our police presence here in Coffee County. So definitely have the two people that have a better perspective on that here with us today, and we hopefully will get some good insight on that. Speaking of good insight, provide some insight on what are some of the challenges that we have here in Coffee County or the city of Douglas in relationship to crime in our community in Douglas and Coffee County. I don't know which one of y'all want to go first.
I'll start off if you want.
Okay.
Well, I mean, I'll start off saying we here in Douglas and Coffee County, and as Sheriff probably said, we have the same challenges in dealing with crime here as every other community across the United States has. It's no different in Douglas and Coffee County than anywhere else. So with that in mind, I mean, because I hear a lot of times about the crime rate, especially in lieu of some information that was given out a little while back by a private company, and we've been disputing some of the crime index numbers and that as well. But we do have our issues. But again, they mirror any other agency across this United States. I mean, we have issues. Staffing of our agencies affects the crime. If we don't have adequate people to be out there patrolling and answering and trying to be proactive, crime rates go up. I mean, if the crooks don't see us out there, they have opportunity. So staffing is one of our issues. Training our folks beyond basic mandate. Training has become a major issue statewide with budget cuts with the state and everything, and shutting down and of a lot of the training facilities as well as a lot of the classes that our folks desperately need so that they can get the training to recognize some of these crimes and know how to work these types of crimes out there. That affects us as well. Dedicating our resources. If we're improperly staffed or, we can't dedicate our resources like we need to do it. Our drug activity here in Coffee County and Douglas, that has a direct impact because a lot of our crime rates are tied directly to the drug activity within this area, and we do have a drug activity which we've been working on some issues that we'll discuss in a little bit to help combat that. And one of the biggest things that we've seen a positive change in this was getting people involved. Getting folks to report these crimes, getting folks to give us information on these crimes is probably one of the biggest challenges that we've had. But I will say over the past 6-8 months, we have seen a very positive increase in the flow of information coming into the police department and I believe as well as the sheriff's department to allow us to solve a lot of these crimes. And our folks on both sides in the agencies have been very diligent in doing that, and they have been able to clear up quite a few crimes that in the past we had difficulty in getting information on.
Okay. Sheriff, you want to add
Yes, I would. I'd just like to reiterate that. It seems like in this past several months, well, since our last meeting, that the community has opened up, and we are getting more information from the public. It seems that there's more of a trust factor there, and that it's paying off for us. I think the community is beginning to accept the fact that we're all in this together. We're a community. We might be law enforcement officers, but we live here too.
Right.
And so it seems like it's doing much better And just for example, like the episode that went on in Ferguson,
I was going to speak to that. Good.
It didn't affect us at all, not one bit. And I was so proud of our community for that.
Good.
And so, the challenge is in a poor economy is to attract and acquire good quality candidates. And then, train them well and then keep them. But with the salaries that they're being paid, it's if they're homegrown, then maybe they'll stay. If they're not, then in a couple of years after they're trained, they're going to go elsewhere. But I believe we got enough homegrown to do the job myself.
Good.
But that, in a nutshell, is the way I see that. I think we're improving every day.
And as you spoke about the Ferguson situation, we were very blessed that we didn't have any episodes such as some of the other communities across the United States who kind of emulated some of the concern and tension. I know we met probably about a month or so ago in regards to some of that concern about what if we had a Ferguson here, and coming up with some levels of ways that we can build that trust with our communities, because we definitely don't want to feel like we're at an adversarial situation with public safety folks and our community. So I know y'all been working on some of those things. So hopefully we'll bring that forth as far as some of those ideas and thoughts together. So Coffee County, you're much to be appreciated. I think level heads and hearts and that trust has built up here to a level that hopefully we can build on that and keep it expounded on it for the future. So share with us a little bit about some of the things that y'all are working on that might help us to address some of these types of things that y'all are seeing. I know, type 1 type of crimes and things of that happen quite frequently, B&Es, breaking and enters, auto thefts, things of that nature happen, especially this time of the season where people are desperate, people are a little bit more anxious, the opportunity to take advantage of other people. So what are some ways that, and I know you can't give, there might be some criminal elements might watch this as well, but can you share some thoughts about what type of things y'all would normally do to address some of these types of things?
Well, I can just, if I might, I can just give you a brief statement. Community involvement. If we can convince the community that we are trustworthy, then we're going to get a lot more cooperation. And communication is the key. I think the chief agreed with us. If we communicate with each other, we're going to solve some crimes, and we're going to prevent some crimes. Every time you arrest a criminal, you stop the crime that was going to happen in the future. At some point, he's got to be stopped. And sometimes, he's did considerable damage before we can apprehend him. So that's the basic thing, is trust. In our community, and I think we're really blessed that we've got some good leaders in this community, present company included, and that more importantly, we have some good citizens.
Yes,
and loving citizens that care about each other.
More loving and caring and trustworthy,
yes,
that we can appreciate, and hopefully that value will keep spreading beyond the few that may have some issue with that.
And I wanted to play off on that as well, because that was one of the things I had wrote down, was community involvement, trust, and building upon that relationship and forming partnerships with the community itself. I know we've discussed partnerships, you and I have, as well as the sheriff, as not with just partnerships with us, but also partnerships in the community with businesses and with civic groups, with others, to kind of help address these issues that we have community-wide. It's not a Douglas thing. It's a Douglas and Coffee County thing, because, like we've always said, what happens in Douglas affects the county and vice versa. And there's several things that we do to try to build up on that trust. And the sheriff's department is doing the same thing, are very similar. We post crime information on. We both do departmental Facebooks now.
Yep.
And the idea is getting that information out in public so that they can be a part of this.
Being transparent.
And being transparent in what we do, and to build upon that trust and that relationship that we've been striving for with the community. Posting current information on that Facebook and the web pages, and post them on. We also post it on the city's web page as well. But I'll give you a good example. We had an incident last week where all we had was a trailer loaded down with audio equipment that was stolen, and all we had was a snapshot of a vehicle. And we discussed it, and I said, put it on Facebook. And I literally, within an hour, we had 200 plus hits on that vehicle, and they told us where it was at. And we were able to go into another county, working with that sheriff's department and sharing it on their Facebook as well. And not only did we recover that trailer, but we recovered several others that we're trying to verify where they've been stolen from, whether it be this county or adjoining county. So Facebook plays off, and again, it's going back to that information. Those folks a year ago, you wouldn't have got them tagging us and feeding us that information, letting us know stuff. So that's going back to that transparency as well. We also continue hitting our See Something, Say Something tips line at 260-3600. That has been very instrumental. Folks that have information on past crimes will call and leave information for us to follow up on. We also have worked with the Sheriff Department. We've done special duty assignments. Most recently was during the arsons, where the Sheriff Department assisted us on extra patrol and hitting these areas hot and heavy for about a month and a half. And we recently have made 2 arrests in one of the arsons. Still trying to prove them on the other ones, but it's going back to the community involvement. We got tips off of from folks on that one, and that worked out good. So, and we continue to work partnerships with agencies. One of the things is we just both recently, the police department and the sheriff's department have co-joined with the GBI's Regional Drug Task Force to address more in depth on a statewide issue, the drug problem within this area. And that's just part of that transparency, trying to improve the service delivery that we provide here in this community to address the crime issues here.
Well, and one thing that I would mention with all this collaborativeness, and I think both of the chief and the sheriff mentioned this, the community involvement is such a critical part. And we are very fortunate that we're using tools, the Facebook, social media, website, the tips line. I think both agencies have a tip line. And, so it's just all these integral parts needed to try to help us help our communities address things. And once again, showing the power of how it brings forth, positive outcomes as far as getting these crimes solved and hopefully getting these people addressed in regards to these crimes committed. So, and it hopefully sends a signal to the criminals, look, if you commit crimes, there's going to be a pretty high probability that we're going to solve it and we're going to put you behind bars. Now, obviously, hopefully that will deter some of the opportunities that people think they have as far as the criminal elements here in our community. So we were very fortunate that everybody's buying into it and everybody's continuing that effort. So we need you more and more. If you see something, say something. If you have an opportunity to call, you can call both of the tip lines. Ours is 260-3600 and the Sheriff's Department is
383-TIPS-8477.
All right. So definitely, we want you to report things, and let's talk about that just for a minute, because I think it's worth discussing. I've often wondered. People say, "Well, I don't want to get involved. I just don't want to be engaged. I see something and I discard it as, well, that just might be something. I don't want to worry the police department or the sheriff department. They got enough to do." But I really would like y'all to speak to that, because I think sometimes people feel that they are being a bothersome group or whatever, or a frustrating group when they call or when they see something and they don't want to report it because they think it's insignificant. So talk to our public a little bit about that.
I'd like, just the chief mentioned a few minutes ago, they posted it online and got some good results. Mm-hmm. Well, the smallest thing can be so important. You said that, but people still may not believe it. But we broke a burglary ring in the county of about 10 burglaries. And the piece of information that confirmed the initial arrest was the band that comes on cigars. Wow. It was an unusual type of cigar that was stolen from a residence. When we had an idea of who it was, when we went to his house and did a search, we found one of those unusual bands on the cigar. Eventually found a cigar, but that was the first thing
that